Hello. Sorry about that. But yeah, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I know that did not sound great at the moment, but of course, when I start recording is when I get a frog in my throat. But anyways, that's not why we're here. We're here to review the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16. And believe this is episode 6? Might be 7. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not as prepared for this review as I normally would be, so I don't have the title of it, but I'll put all that up here as I'm talking. But yes, this is week 2, or actually the first official full week of me being in my new place. Hopefully y'all like the studio, and also hopefully my sound sounded okay in the video or videos last week. I am hoping I'll be a little bit more timely when it comes to these reviews, but this week I have a couple more things going on, so I had to get my old place cleaned up. And then I also had to, well, I haven't done it yet. I had a dentist appointment today. And then tomorrow I have to then do the walkthrough with my landlord or former landlord. And then the renting experience has concluded. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. And yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with that. I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up what's going on with that before we get into the episode. And then I do want to review a couple. I think those who've been checking out my Real Housewives of Atlanta reviews, you already know I do these reviews slightly different than my other shows because I'm trying to kind of, I don't know, spice it up, make it different. And essentially, this is the franchise I'm trying to like set myself apart as far as like how I do my reviews. So I'm not going to necessarily go in order. That's not what I do on this channel always. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then also too, at this particular review, I'm going to include 2 other things in this review. So we're going to talk about Kenya's confessional. Sorry, my cat. I knew she was going to try it here. She's been on one ever since she's came. Both my cats been on one since they've been here. Zero, not so much, but Whisper, the one that always be somewhat making appearances in my video, she's right here, and she's on one. She's like, oh, you disturbed my peace, because she was sleeping on the chair I'm sitting on. Anyway, but besides reviewing the show, I'm going to review the Kenya confessionals, and then the first after show for the show. It was cute that they had one, but there really was no purpose. I think this was kind of their way, maybe reintroducing the after show. So maybe that's what they were doing with that. Maybe that's what they were going for. Who knows? But first things first, let's talk about the Kenya Moore confessional video. Confessional video. I'm so confused with saying that because it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. But let's get into that first, and then we'll talk about the rest of the, we'll talk about the after show, and then we'll talk about this show. Because, side note, you're probably wondering why I was holding onto my microphone, because I wasn't sure at the moment which microphone was going out, and the one that I thought was going to go out, it went out. But it's okay. We were talking about what we're going to talk about first. So let's first talk about Kenya Moore's confessionals. And so for one, she looked amazing in the video. I know I'm late to the party when it comes to this, but whatever, it's neither here nor there. But like she looked amazing. And her full body confessional looks better than everyone else's on the show, and she used her own money for that. Yeah, Bravo do better when it comes to that. Just saying. Anyway, so I will give her that when it comes to like her looks. Now, did we learn any new stuff when it came to the confessional video? Yes. We learned that, is Kenya really sorry for what she did? I think she's more or less sorry of how we all reacted and that it didn't land. Because I think she meant to get her get back, but I don't think she expected that the get back was not going to land. I think that's what it was. Which honestly, if someone threatens to unalive me, you know, hopefully I don't go that much down to hell, but that's what she decided to do. So, and you already know my views on the whole situation between Britt and Kenya. To me, and this is my opinion, again, my opinion, 2 wrongs don't make a right, and that's what this was. 2 wrongs didn't make a right. Both of them, really, Britt should have been the one who'd been suspended to begin with, and really, if it wasn't for her not being suspended and and Bravo and the production company not doing what they were supposed to do at that moment, this would be all non-factor. But because that wasn't done that way, and because Kenya saw that she needed to get her gift back, that's where we're at. And the other takeaway that I personally got from this, from what she had to say, is that her get back wasn't really just directed towards Britt. It was like her get back was about her getting back at the network too. The network and production. I think she was just extremely frustrated by how she's been treated throughout the years on this show. Especially how last season they filmed her salon, they filmed her doing all this stuff, and then they never put any of it in the out on the season. And I know she was fuming by that. Like when you check out, if you had the opportunity to check out Kenya's Carlos King interview that she did prior to season 16, she stated that as much. So, you know what? Hold on. I think I'm actually going to go without the microphone because I'm just kind of insecure about this right now. Let me know if the sound doesn't sound great. I mean, we'll work around it, but yeah, I think I'm going to go without this mic because it's not. I am really nervous that this one's out too, and I just didn't charge any of them. Again, I'm still trying to get my bearings when it comes to my move. Yeah. Anyway. So, the other thing though, yeah, I'm going to wait out. We'll continue. But, sorry. My other thing though that I was going to mention that I got from this is that the network handled this horribly. And yes, you saw Whisper. That was Whisper. The network handled all this horribly. And they honestly, to me, I feel like the network was looking for a reason to get rid of her. And she gave them the reason. So she kind of got rid of herself. She didn't. Britt didn't get rid of her. She got rid of herself. That's kind of how I view the whole entire thing. Other than that, was there any other things that were new about her confessionals? Was it really a confessional? Not really. It was just more or less her speaking back about everything that's been out there ever since everything happened. She didn't really, I guess when she said it was going to be confessionals, I was hoping it was going to be her reacting to things that were happening on the show. Like, the things that, like, I don't know if she's not allowed to release the things that she had confessionals for when she was actually on the show. Because this is the other thing I wasn't sure about, but I know maybe some of y'all already knew. She did film confessionals before everything went the way it went. So, the network just decided not to use it. Also, the other new thing we found out, she got invited to the reunion even after everything happened, and then got uninvited immediately. Now, I hope we find out the reason why. I heard, according to, shout out to Kempire, because Kempire is usually the source that I come from when it comes to a lot of my housewife news. So if you want to really be following the news behind the scenes stuff and stuff that isn't necessarily related to the show, I would strongly suggest checking out Kempire. He's an amazing YouTuber. He's actually what got me started to like even wanting to YouTube, and kind of got me sucked into the pop culture of it all when it comes to like YouTube and reviews, because he was kind of one of the first Black content creators I started watching. Actually, content creators in general, because most of the content creators I watch are Black. And it's not me trying to be biased, it's just my algorithm. That's just how it works, you know. But anyway, so that was kind of the conclusion that I kind of came up with for the most part when it comes to Kenya's confessionals. Did she throw some shade? Of course she did. Kenya looks amazing. According to her Her hair products, they're still in Sally, they're still in CVS, and then they will be coming back on Amazon for those who have used her products or would like to use her products. I personally have not. I'm thinking about it though, just because I want to switch it up. Right now, this is kind of new because I've only really had my hair natural and down for like a couple days because I just now took my braids down. I kind of miss them though, but I actually feel my scalp feels so much happier. It was like, braids, it's time to go. It's time to go. But what else? Oh, she does mention about her salon and how much she cares so much about it. And her main apology, to be honest with you, to me came off, and this is just my opinion, I think she was more upset about the fact that she did it in her salon and not necessarily what she did. And we also find, according to her, she talked to lawyers, and what she did was not revenge P. I don't know. Either way, it's wrong. It was morally corrupt to do what she did, whether things were out there already. Because prior to her putting it out there, no one knew about it. So to me, I'm kind of like, you had to dig to find it. If you had to dig to find it, is it really out there for real? I mean, it is, but I guess to me and my personal, if you had to do some extra investigating to find it, that's where you have lost the plot for me. And I also feel like a lot of people feel that Kenya was a lot more wrong in what she did because Britt's reaction was more reactionary versus Kenya's was very much premeditated. And that premeditated part, it changes things quite a bit. And I get why, because she was trying to get her get back. But I don't know. A good way to get someone's get back? Give them nothing. That would have been just how I would have moved. I just would act like the girl doesn't exist. And then if more would have happened on the show, I would have sued the network. That's just would have been how I would have handled it for me. But, because she already, and document everything that she's putting out there, because she also did state in her video that she did not only go to the producers after everything happened at the bank, she also did go to the network, the production company. She basically did all the right protocol things, but they basically did nothing. And then what Andy said at Watch What Happens Live last week was basically a bunch of BS to cover the network's behind, which honestly, anyone that has a normal 9-to-5 or works in corporate, you already know how that goes. Like, HR is not for you. HR is for the business and for the company. You still have to do everything in your power to protect your behind, whether that's hire an employer lawyer, or which also the other thing that was clear to me in this video, she did not do that. I think she has one retained. I think she talked to an attorney, but I don't think she actually hired an attorney. That's the difference, because she definitely mentioned she talked to attorneys, but nothing about mentioning about her paying them, on retainer to really get to it. Because if she would have done that before she retaliated, which was 48 hours, so she didn't really do any of that. Clearly, it's clear to me she didn't. This would be a non-factor. She would still be on the show. And if anything, I feel like to some degree the network will have to feel obligated to have her stay on the show, because she would just be like, now what the production company would do with her being on the show, they could do some horrible editing because they're using her likeness. I don't know. It's how bad do you want to be a housewife? How bad do you want to be on this show? I guess that's what it chalks down to me for when it comes to all this. But that's kind of what I got for the most part when it comes to the Kenya confessionals of it all. Will she be back on the network? Probably not. Not anytime soon. Because they kind of, to me, what the conclusion I also came up with is how much she was caping for that network when Nene's stuff was coming out and happening. they're doing the same thing to her that they did to Nene. So she might be on a pause for some time, and not good terms pause, not a Dorinda pause, more like a Nene Leakes pause. So we'll see what happens. So yeah. All right. So next, before I get into the actual show, and at this point, I don't know how to timestamp. I'm going to figure out how to timestamp. I might time. You know what? This might be the first video I timestamp. Because I've never timestamped before on YouTube. And because for those who don't know, this is a one-person show. I'm doing this on my own. I've learned how to YouTube and all that on my own. I haven't really taken anyone's advice. I've just been kind of figuring it out on my own. So even when it comes to like editing videos, I'm trying to figure it out on my own. Like, I have never taken a video class. I am just learning it on the fly. So I feel like this is one of those things I might have to learn and do a timestamp. So anyway. Okay, sorry about that. My nose was irritating me. It's, by the way, in the Chi, it is 70-something degrees. So I might go for a run after this, and I have shorts on. So anyway, but moving on. So the after show. The after show was cute, and I'm kind of bring up Kenya one more time when it comes to after show, because this was just kind of my observation while I was watching it. So the after show, for the most part, they discussed, it was cute. It was like not a long one. They just did one part after show because it was kind of an introduction to them having after show. I'm leaving it there. Anyway. But they do have an after show. And so with the after show, they they talked about fashions, who's most fashionable of the cast, this, that, and this. And they also talked about what happened at Kelly's Beaumont event. When it comes to the buying of things and not buying of things. But that was pretty much all they really kind of talked about. It was very cute, very kiki. And they kind of used the after show as an opportunity to reintroduce Phaedra back into the fold. So the way they had the seating, they had Peach Juice, Britt, and Phaedra all in a confessional. I mean, all together. They're a group. And I'm like, wow. I have thoughts on that. I'm going to leave it alone, though. I'm leaving it alone. But again, if you're new to this channel, I am not a Portia fan. Even though I have been watching her YouTube channel, and it's actually quite entertaining. Because I can separate whether I like a person. If they're entertaining, I can separate it, because at the end of the day, I don't know these people in real life, so it's just kind of like whatever. But on the show, I don't like Portia. There's that. And then, so that was one group. And then you had Shamia and Kelly as another group. And then you had Cynthia, Drew, and Angela as a group. Now, the Drew and Angela makes all the sense in the world, because they're like, you know, they're a clique. Shamia and Kelly makes sense. Really, I was looking at the after show trying to figure out if the things wouldn't have happened, where would Kenya fit in all this? And the only thing I could think of where she would have fit is where Cynthia's at. And I don't think they've ever had 4 people doing the after show. Or Kenya would have had her own thing. And as much as her having her own thing would have been good, I'm not sure how great of a look that would be. And typically, sometimes in the after shows, the Friends Ups don't always have an after show. So it does kind of make me look at Cynthia away a little bit. I was like, oh, so if, because let me be truthful. It makes sense that Cynthia was there on the after show between the 3. But to me, it would have made more sense if it was Kenya and not Cynthia. Cynthia, when it comes to this cast, to me, doesn't really fit in. Kenya, because we knew what happened, she doesn't really fit in either. But between the two, Kenya to me made more sense because the relationship that Drew and Kenya have. I've never really, I think there was only like maybe 1 or 2 seasons that we saw the Cynthia and Drew of it all. Kenya has been like Drew's biggest ally on this show. And I was kind of worried when it comes to initially, before I saw who Angela was to Drew on this show, I was initially worried that Drew was going to be another target again, because she's a target almost every season because she's, she has an interesting relationship with the truth. But her lies they're not malicious, so it's kind of like, who cares? You kind of just let it be known. Like, I mean, her lie is like, she's Michael Jordan's cousin. Is that really a big deal? No, not really. Do we know she's lying? Yeah. It's one of those. So that's kind of the only thing. I just want y'all to, I want to know what y'all thoughts are on what you saw there, but that's kind of where my brain went when I was watching the after show. I was like, I mean, Cynthia fits here because Cynthia could literally go nowhere else when it came to like the format of how they do the after show. And she's not really involved in the story as much because she's a friend of, so she wouldn't have her own thing. And the only place that Kenya would have been on the after show is literally where Cynthia's at. But anyway, so that's kind of my thoughts on that. Let's get into the episode because not really much happened with it. It happened, but it didn't. So we'll get into it. And I'm going to go by cast to kind of just get their stories out the way. So we start the episode where Britt is with her husband going car shopping. Whether they're going to buy the car or not, that's one thing. And I'm not going to lie, now that I know what I know about Britt, I don't look at her in a great way when I watch this show. At all. So unfortunately, my bias is biasing horribly, and I don't know how to turn it off now. Now knowing the type of person she is. Because also, Color Me Pink, shout out to her, another YouTuber, she did a whole entire expose on Britt Edie. And if you know about how much she's kind of been around. More than we knew. Because Britt's face that's on the show is not her original face or body. But then when they show when you watch Color Me Pink's YouTube channel, she kind of goes over her whole entire history. And she was actually one of the video girls on Kiss Me Through the Phone, which is the Soulja Boy song from like the early 2000s. And she was in a lot of music videos in the early 2000s. So, and this is before her nose job. Nose job can change how your whole entire face looks. And that's kind of what it did. And so I say all that to say, and I apologize, I had like a coughing spell that kind of happened because my allergies are kicking my butt. But what I was going to get at, though, is that Britt, now that I know more about her, I'm actually extra mad that Kenya did what she did. Because all she had to do was just sit quiet, and Britt would have got herself off the show. Based on what I'm learning about Britt. The more information that goes out there, for those who are interested on the stuff behind the scenes, not so much what's happened on the show, that's a whole entire thing. But I'm saying all that also because, unfortunately, because I know the things I know, it does make me view her very much differently on this show. And honestly, I'm not interested in anything she has to say. And ironically, before all this stuff came out, I kind of already had that feeling because something about her just never felt genuine to me, including her and her kind of shady looking husband. I just never trusted. And now I'm kind of like, my instinct was kind of right. So that's kind of what I'm getting at with that. So besides the car scene, though, they're talking about, she's talking about Angela and how Angela was, doing all this, that, and this in the tour because she's always a victim. And see, I'm also I can't deal with someone who's always a victim. So I'm kind of just like, okay. So that's kind of what she's getting at. And she's like talking like, oh my God, you know, she really needs to fix her nose job because the way she talks drives me nuts too. So I think that's kind of the other thing too. Her voice just, I can't. Anyway. So besides that, we also have Drew and Angela talking about it. Because Drew and Angela, they had Kenya's back basically because they've known Kenya. Well, really, Drew has known Kenya. Drew and Kenya are friends, okay, on the show. Now, I don't know if they are outside the show, but throughout the years of Drew being on the show, Kenya has always had Drew's back and kept her kind of like, basically looked out for her on the show. So Drew's views on the situation is going to be different from everyone else's because she's like, Kenya has always been an ally to me. So I'm not going to just now all of a sudden just like not deal with her. What she did was wrong, but what do you want me to do? Her and, them two have history. And so that's kind of what was being explained. And Angela's like, well, I'm just on the side of the truth. That's it. And Angela's like, I just had some questions, and the way she was coming at me was too much. And also too, like, you didn't take any accountability for what you did at the bank. Like, you got me in trouble with those folks because you were doing the most. And that was you, Brett, that led to everything else. And I'm glad someone said it because that was true, despite how Kenya retaliated, like, there would have been no need for retaliation if you would have, like, stopped beefing with yourself about everything. So, anyway, that's kind of what happens here. And then there's another scene, I'm not even sure if it's the same scene or not, where you have the rest of the ladies minus the three I was talking about. They're talking about what happened, but they're also talking, they're talking about what happened. Really, Kelly's telling Portia what happened because Portia wasn't there, so she's kind of getting her up to speed of what happened at the peace event. And then also, too, Portia's talking about how she's about to invite the ladies to the birthday party. So Portia decided they're going to do their first group trip in Nashville. And immediately she says, okay, me and Drew, we're cordial, but I'm not inviting her. I don't want her to come. And back to Drew and Angela and her messy self. She's like, I asked Portia about a +1, so I think Drew should be my +1. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, what is happening here? Seriously, what is happening here? Why? And side note, I was looking like that for a second because, so in this room, I have mirrors and my cat's literally right behind me. And I was just looking to see what's going on. I'm always kind of keeping my eye on the cat. So if I start veering off looking this way, that's why. Anyway, so we already know some mess is going to happen. And what I will say is that Angela, girl, I love you, but you are messy. You are messy boots. But I love it. I love it. I love it. Because she's a good messy. It's not a bad messy. Because let's be so for real. Portia is carrying on about the Drew of it all. And I don't know about you, but I don't care. I don't care. You are putting 20 on 10. I see why you and Britt are cool. 20 on 10, gang. 20 on 10. I'm still curious why Whisper's just right behind me, just hanging out. She refuses to not be attached to me. I love it though. I love it. So we're going to be off for a second. So when I first moved here and moved the cast in, Zero was the first one to cling on to me. Like, as far as like, I'm still going to hang out with you. I'm scared about being in this new place, but I want to hang out with you. The one who you hardly ever see. Whisper, her personality changed on Monday when I started work again. back to the way she was before, but actually almost too much because I could not get work done. To the point where she tried to do this trick where she jumps on me because she wanted to be on my lap. And I was trying to tell her I don't want her on my lap at this moment because I was literally on a conference call with someone. And she scratched the crap out of me because she lost her balance. She was like, ah! And so she's like, and I was like, ah! And this is all happening while I'm on a call with a coworker. And I don't know this coworker from a can of paint, by the way. We're talking about a project. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, are you okay? I was like, my cat. And she's like, work from home problems. Work from home problems. If you work from home, that's just what happens. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. So besides that in this episode, because not really much happened in the episode, so I'm trying to fill it up a little bit. Everyone's going to Nashville, right? Minus Drew. We're not so sure if she's coming or not. So fast forward, because I'm trying to think what else happened this episode, because it really was about that for the most part, this episode. So they do. Hey, so I almost forgot. I'm adding this in the video. Another scene did happen on the show where Drew and Britt made up before the trip. And Britt actually asked Drew if she was coming on the trip, or if she asked if she can make things if her and Portia can make things up towards the end of it. But basically, Drew does end up seeing from Britt's perspective how she feels humiliated. Because what happened was humiliating. Let's not act like that was not humiliating. That I could never be friends with someone who was to do something like that to me. Actually, in both cases, I could never be friends with you. Like, both lines cross. We're never going to be cool ever again in life. But what Kenya did was, yeah, it was pretty messed up because you literally made all of her X-rated stuff public to the world, not just people who are looking for it. So there's that. But then Drew explains kind of at the very beginning, like, look, I am friends with like Kenya, so I was going to, get her side of it because I'm friends with her. And they do have an understanding. And then right before they like fully make up, Drew is asking the questions, and I don't think Britt really expected the questions she was asking. She was like, so, did you get paid to play? She's like, what? She's like, I mean, I want to know more about what you were doing. And Britt was transparent, told her the things. And the sad thing about this is, if Britt would have led with this at the very beginning of the season before she was exposed and kind of just like explained this and talked through it, I probably would have found her a little bit more interesting. But you let someone else expose your tea, which is like one-on-one rules of reality TV. Never let someone else expose your tea. Actually, it's the rule of life. Do not let someone else expose your tea. Expose it yourself. It just is what it is. And side note, even Kenya said that in her confessional video, like, do not, if you have something that you do not want to be out in the light, either don't go on reality TV, or this is the part I add to it. Because at the end of the day, I don't think there's any shame in sex work. Get it how you live. This is what you need to do to survive, whatever. Like, it's 2025. People are struggling. Plenty of people are getting how they live. Not me necessarily, but people are doing that. The world is falling apart. So who am I to judge, or who is anyone to really judge that? Kenya included. She shouldn't be judging all that. But I got where she was coming from with that, but it just, again, never landed. Didn't land. But I also wanted to explain, I forgot that happened. I almost forgot. I was like, oh my gosh. Drew was asking some questions. I was like, Drew, what kind of things are you into for the way you're asking these questions? Anyway, That's the other thing I had to add. I did not I already took everything down, so I was not gonna reset up everything to like give you that part, but I'll add this in the review. For the most part, this episode. So they do end up going to Nashville, and they're all in their Cowboy Carter like get up, looking cute, looking like snacks. And at this moment, we have Kelly and Britt are still, thick as thieves close. I am curious to see as the season progresses, when does that change? Because we know it does. But they're so close that Britt is using Kelly's hair stylist. And so that's kind of what's happening. And prior to, so all the ladies do end up getting in Nashville, except for Angela. Angela arrives late. Drew doesn't go right away. Oh, the other thing that happened in this episode is notable, was Drew and her divorce. Do y'all believe that this divorce is real or not? I'm just curious, because I don't know if I believe it or not anymore. Because it's really weird. They did go to court and stuff, so clearly I don't know how much you could fake of that, and they have attorneys, but like Ralph's attorney was just equally as animated as him, so I was just kind of looking at everything kind of side-eye. It was just really weird. So they went to mediation, and it was not successful for Drew. So now we find out in this episode that they are going to open the case, open the case to the public so that everyone will know all their business. And Drew, in her confessional, because the producers asked her in the confessional, hey, are you nervous about your dirt going on in the street? She's like, I'm actually more nervous about Ralph's dirt. And well, she didn't really answer it quite like that. She was like, yeah, it's more of Ralph's dirt is an issue than mine and what my kids are going to think. And now, we know that Drew has a little bit of a lying problem. Do you believe that? Or do you think they both have dirt? I almost feel like they both have dirt. If this is real, if we're to believe that all this is real, I would say they both have dirt, because we never did get anything figured out when it came to the whole Ty and Drew situation. So there's that. About her lesbianist experience. Yes, Kyle Richards, you were not the first with this. Just saying. So yeah. Besides that, we had so they do end up going to court, and Ralph is just being such a douche because he won that. He gets to stay in the basement, and he was way happy about him being able to stay in the basement because according to him, he pays for everything. So that's what he's saying. But she's like, why is he still in the basement? He has to go. And I think Cussy was the other thing. Basically, Drew didn't get anything she wanted. And so they have to go back to court again to still figure things out. And so this divorce is ongoing. And so we saw that happen on our screen. And this is all happening as Drew's supposed to be going on this trip. Because even though she said she wasn't sure if she was coming, we know she's coming. We know she's coming. We know that's what's going to happen. Drew missed the opportunity to be messy, especially against Portia. She's coming. Anyway. So back at Nashville, all the ladies are talking, just kikiing. Angela still has not arrived yet, but then of course they are, of course, talking about her. Because Britt still has her problems with her about the whole thing. And meow. I'll be honest with you, when Britt talks, I don't listen. Is that bad? I think it is bad. So I'm probably not good when it comes to reviewing her portion of the stuff when it comes to the show, because I can't stand her voice. Her voice is so nasally. It annoys me. It's so annoying. I can't do it. So anyway, because she talks like this. I can't. Anyway, so as they're talking though, Angela of course shows up. Angela knows that they were talking about her. And she even says at the confessional, she's like, yeah, as I'm showing up, they're talking mad stuff about me. But whatever, I'm here. And side note, so when they're picking out the rooms, there's only like really 2 good rooms, and then the other room, there's another room with bunk beds, and there's like another room that just has a community of beds. And I'm like, Portia, this is why. You ain't it. You ain't ish for that. And so, but Angela does end up getting a decent room. Drew has a bunk bed room. Because side note, this is where they're sitting down, they're having their lunch, and Angela's like, yeah, I invited Drew. And Portia's like, what? Why would you do that? This is my birthday. Because side note, this is why they're there. This is for Portia's birthday. And she's like, why would you do that? And it's like, well, I figured this would be a time where y'all could like piece it up. Like, why are you dragging this? Y'all could piece it up. But we know Portia has no interest in peace. Because she wouldn't do any of the things that she does in life if she was interested in peace. Just saying. That it was not meant to be shade, but it was shade, and I'm kind of not taking it back. So anyway, again, if you feel like peach juice is not the channel for you. Anyway. Child, don't take anything I say seriously. I don't know none of these people in real life. Okay, so then we find out Portia's upset, but she's kind of putting a pin on it. We'll find out how upset she is a little bit later on. And so they are done. They're like, okay, let's get ready they're getting ready to go to a country bar, get their cowboy Carter on. And this is why I mentioned earlier on about how like Britt and Kelly are sharing Kelly's stylist. And they're getting ready, and all the girls are looking cute, and all the girls are out. So it's cute. And so everyone has their best cowboy get up on. Cynthia's there too. Cynthia was on the trip. I forgot to mention that. I be forgetting Cynthia's there, to be honest with you. I hate that I do that, but I do forget she's there. Maybe to me, the reason why I kind of forget is because to me, I think Angela, to me, kind of fits 2 people's characters on the show. Angela kind of reminds me a cross between a Cynthia and a Sheree. Messy and like messy for no reason, but then also she comes in peace. So she's like a mix between the 2 to me. And her stories, the math don't be mathing when it comes to her stories. But that actually kind of checks and makes sense why her and Drew are friends, because Drew's math don't be mathing when it comes to her stories either. So it's like, okay, it all makes sense. It's not the Chicago thing. It's not just that. It's quite a few things. It's what Sheree and Drew could have been if they just would have been the girls that lie together, have fun together type thing, because they both lie. I don't know. But not in a way where we take any of it seriously. So, and I'm not saying Angela lies. It's just her stories, they're not mathing. And I'm hoping during the season some of it gets cleaned up. But some of her stories, especially now that I go back after watching the episodes again and thinking about it, I'm like for example, let me give you an example. Why does her daughter live with her mom and her aunt? Or why did that happen? Why was what happened with Charles Oakley and the New York Knicks cause a separation in the household? That has nothing to do with a marriage. See, these are things in the back of my head I was questioning, but at the moment I just kind of rolled with it. But it's still here. I'm still in my head thinking, I'm taking notes. I'm gonna let you tell me this, and I'm gonna believe it until you end up talking to yourself out into a lie, and then I'll catch it. As one child, I'm an Aries. This is kind of one of the things we do. We love entertaining BS and let you just lie, like you just uncover your own lie. I don't have time to uncover your lie. You can uncover your lie by yourself. I'm not doing it. Anyway, moving on. So this is probably gonna be like the last part of the episode, because really, again, it's one of those episodes where a lot happened but it didn't happen. I don't know. I feel like really the Kenya Moore thing was a little bit more entertaining this time around versus the actual episode. But it was a decent episode. I didn't mind it. So then the last thing happened was Portia invited her friends and her sister. So everybody was out for her birthday, and they're riding the rodeo. They're riding the bull. And Shamia did the best. Shamia was like, I'm competitive. I'm on my Taurus thing. That's what we do. We're competitive. That's what I do. And yeah, she killed it. And so they sit down, and Portia at this moment now decides she's going to really confront Angela about inviting Drew to her birthday in front of everybody, basically trying to embarrass her. But Portia picked the right one because she's like, I'm married to Charles Oakley. Seriously, Portia, you can't embarrass me. That was the energy that Angela was giving out. Like, I am married to a no nonsense type of dude who gives no F's. Why do you think we're together? Do you think you can embarrass me? And even Angela, she was still in her calm mantra. She's like, I just want peace. And honestly, I didn't look at it as it being I thought on your birthday you would want peace. So I just wanted to be the peacemaker to help y'all come together. Like, you guys were cool before, now you're not. So I was trying to do my part for your birthday. And everyone's like, but girl, you invited her, you invited someone she did not want at her birthday. And really, let's be so for real. If this wasn't Portia, most people would be like, yeah, no, that's kind of messed up that you did that, Angela. And to a certain degree, I feel that way. That is kind of messed up that she did that. But because it's Portia, and we know that Portia is dragging this for no reason, because none of us wants to see, I don't want to see this. I think this is like stupid. Like, okay, Drew is hanging out with your ex that you discarded. I'm pretty sure if you told Dennis you wanted to get back with him, he probably would get back with you. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just weird. But so then Portia's kind of going off on her, and she's finding out that it's just not working. It's not working. She's trying to go off on her, but like Angela's staying calm. She's like, look, I was just trying to help. If you don't like that, you don't like that. But I was just trying to help. I stand in everything I did. And then towards the end, then Portia decides she's going to low blow and say like, well, I heard that. And I'm not sure if it was her or if it was one of Portia's friends, but to me, if it's one of Portia's friends, it's technically Portia, because I feel like she would basically talk one of her friends into doing this. One of her friends calls herself exposing Drew and saying that, well, she must be like Dennis. Because like, and then she jokes in her confessional about like, yeah, Dennis doesn't mess with women without there being anything, any strings attached. And I'm like, Portia? And this is why I can't stand Portia. And what I will say about this, okay, Dennis is a clown. Like, Dennis is a fool. And Dennis is not necessarily the most stand-up dude, but between all the other guys she's ever dated on this show, he kind of is. This is your child's father. And you just have no discard, basically calling your man or your ex baby daddy, basically a slut on TV, national TV, even though this is like your child's father. But that's Portia for you. That's Portia peach juice on her bird behavior, per usual. Anyway, sorry. I don't know how to be nice about it. I don't. Maybe the braids are gone, and maybe that's my niceness left with the braids. I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of what happened at the end of the episode, though. Drew, she was didn't arrive yet. Apparently, she decided she's going to party with Dennis instead. Dennis threw some type of event for her, so they showed that on the show as well, because Drew being so bummed about her divorce and everything. So, yeah, I'm not really sure how else I feel about it, but I do, overall though, I love me. I love the newbies. Like, mine is Britt. I love Angela and I love Kelly. Shamia to me isn't new. Shamia, like, we knew of her. I love how everyone so far this season is coming on their own. I'm rating this season so far on a little bit of on a different scale than I normally would, because I know that this is like a soft reboot. And honestly, as long as they don't New York City this, because maybe that's the bar I'm going off of, which is kind of messed up because that bar is low. But I think they got something here. I think they can handle things without Kenya. And I see Angela decided she was going to like clock in, and she kind of is stepping up, you know. And Eva and Kelly stepping up. Both of them are like just doing their thing. But anyway, that does conclude the episode. I will try to get this out a lot sooner next week. It'll probably be out on probably either Monday or Tuesday versus today, because I'm filming this on a Wednesday. And I hate them even filming this so late because I watched it on Monday and I'm kind of just going off of memory on that. And I just don't have time to rewatch it. So this is kind of what's here. If I forgot anything, put in the comments. If you have thoughts of what I said, put in the comments. Be respectful though, because I do screen my comments and I will just act like your comment is not there or delete the comment. It's my channel. This is what I do. But anyway, that does conclude the video for today. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.